Hello, boxing fans around the world. Thank you once again for joining us on Talkin for another episode featuring Christian from the Friday night panel and his ongoing exploration of the Olympics to take place in Tokyo this July, specifically boxing. What do you got for us today, Christian?
Well, Graham, as you know, we've been all week now. Well, it's only Tuesday, but ending off from last week, we started following the European qualifiers as they were rolling through. And so we had the afternoon session from yesterday that we need to talk a little bit about, and the morning session with some finals from today. The afternoon session starting, right now as we speak. So a couple of finals going on. So we're going to keep things brief because I need to get back to it. But starting with yesterday's afternoon sessions. So something to keep in mind here that anyone who made it through to the afternoon sessions at this point, all of our Tokyo quotas have been filled. So anyone who's boxing today and is boxing this afternoon, at this point in time, we're boxing for Pride and we're boxing for seeding at the Tokyo Games at this point. Right. But all of our actual spots have been filled at this point in time. So those who had not originally qualified for the semifinals were given another opportunity yesterday to get through on those quarterfinal box-offs to get those allocations that we were just talking about there. And depending on which weight category, there was different numbers of them involved here. But let's take a look at what we got. In the women's under 51 kilogram category, Poland's Sandra Drabnik defeated Serbian Nina Radovanovic in a 4-1 box-off to book her spot at the Olympics, as did Russia's Svetlana Sulianova, who won 5-0 over Belarus's Yulia Panasovich. Britain's world bronze medalist Karis Ardingstall ensured her place with the team after a 5-0 win over Sweden's Stephanie Tour in the women's under 57 kilogram box-off. Nikolina Karcic of Croatia is also headed to the Olympics after a 3-2 win over Turkey's Ayçen Guldagi. Italy's Rebecca Nicolai qualified in the women's under 60 kilogram following a 5-0 win over Nicoletta Pita of Greece, while France's European silver medalist Veva Hammerdouche won via the same scoreline against Hungary's Kata Pribowski. Now, Russian two-time world medalist Sadat Degatova defeated Poland's Karolina Kozvetska 5-0 in the women's under 69 kilogram box-off final after both won in their respective semis just yesterday. So moving over to the men's side of things, in the under 75 kilogram category, Belarusian Vitaly Bendarenka qualified for Tokyo following win over Belgium's Lancelot Proton de la Chapelle, and will be joined in Tokyo by Georgia's Gregory Karbadze after he defeated Adam Chartoy of Sweden. Georgia's Eskerkan Madiev qualified through the box-off, defeating Ukraine's Yevgeny Barbanov at 4-1 in the men's under 69 kilogram category, and was joined by Belarusian Alexander Radzianu after his victory over Turkey's Necdet Ikansi. Ireland's Emmett Brown booked his spot with a win over Sweden's Leroy Nua in the men's under 81 kilogram, and was soon joined by Imam Ketiev of Russia, who was a quarterfinalist of the night. Was the final quarterfinalist of the night after he qualified over Turkey's Bayram Malkin. Okay, so that takes us through yesterday's afternoon session and rounds out the finals as to who's actually going to be getting a ticket to Tokyo. As I said, so now we're talking a bit of pride here as we moved into some gold medal bouts this morning. And again, we have some going on as we speak right now. And again, I'm going to be getting back to that very quickly here. But let's just take you through a little bit of what happened just a few hours ago this morning. So we started off with the women's flyweight final, which saw Turkey's Buzinez Karakoglu against Great Britain's Charlie Davidson. So this was another battle of the southpaws. In round one, Charlie was on the front foot, but due to them both being kind of having a counterpuncher's mentality, or at least going into this fight thinking that they were both going to be counterpunchers, the ref had to step in about a minute into this round to remind them they actually have a duty to engage here. So exchanging jabs to step up the intensity a bit, Kakaroglu spent most of this round skimming the outside, skimming the ropes, and making Charlie chase her. But this did go on points to Karakoglu. Kakiroglu. I will get these right, I promise. The round one does go to Kakiroglu on points. So after the first round spent almost entirely kind of getting the measure of each other, the second started with much of the same in the first minute, with finally them coming together, doing a bit of trading about halfway through the round, with this actually starting to turn into an actual fight with only about 10 seconds left to go in the second round, with Davidson finally turning up the heat a bit. Now, Kakiroglu did also win this one on a 3-2 split. So coming into the third, Davidson, knowing that she's got to make up some ground here, was pushing Kakiroglu into the corner, from corner to corner, and really not letting her circle the ring, just kind of pinning her from one corner to the next, and making this a much less mobile fight. When Kakiroglu took a knee partway through this round in order to get a malfunctioning piece of headgear fixed at a somewhat advantageous moment, I might say. So Davidson was able to throughout the third, keep constant pressure on the Turkish fighter. But this was a slow start to this fight, and then ultimately turned into too little too late. And gold medal is going home with Kakiroglu to Turkey on this one. I think if we didn't see the best out of either one of these fighters, what we could have seen today. So I'll be looking forward to seeing better from both of them once we actually get to the games. This could have easily gone to Davidson if she had turned up the heat sometime in the first round, as opposed to waiting to the very, very end of the second to kind of find her footing. But we move along. Looking at the women's lightweight, we saw another Brit, Caroline Dubois, up against Ireland's Kelly Harrington. Now, again, this one was a bit of a slow start with a lot of measuring each other out early in this first round. Harrington using her weight to walk Dubois into the ropes a couple of times. And also switched partway through the round to a southpaw stance in order to mirror Dubois, who spent most of this round on the back foot and boxing defensively. Really didn't find her feet too well in the first round. Harrington took this one on a 4-1 split through the first round. Into the second round, Dubois came out swinging, obviously not happy with the judges' scorecards from the first. She had landed a handful of good jabs, but Harrington just took it on body shots that first round. So Harrington continued to utilize southpaw stance through the second round, sending Dubois to the canvas with about a minute left in the second. The final minute being dominated mostly by clinches, and Harrington taking this one right across the board in the second round. Once we got into the third, Dubois was on the front foot for the beginning of this round, just a kind of bit of a change of pace here, as she had spent most of the fight on the back foot to this point. Harrington, in response, switched back to an orthodox stance and adopted a counterpuncher's role here, frustrating Dubois rather visibly, who isn't used to being this far behind on cards this late into a fight. So this ended with trading, but it just wasn't enough for Dubois. Final last burst of energy, but just not enough time to land enough punches of consequence. Harrington took to Ireland on this one, and Great Britain takes home a second silver on the day. Now in the women's middleweight, we saw a third Brit, Lauren Price, up against Russia's Zenfira Magomedlieva. So this, in contrast to the last of the two previous fights, this was an aggressive fight right from the start, with the Russians sending Price into the ropes. And a right hand just moments later, putting Price right on the canvas. So Magomedlieva, you got to remember here, if you didn't get a chance to watch this earlier today, is a much larger fighter. She has competed in past as heavy as the 81 plus kilogram category, and had to shed a bunch of weight to come down. So she's just hovering on the very top end of what she can be right now, or at least was when she made weight. But had a considerable size and weight advantage. So Price was operating mostly on the back foot here, but landed a bunch of great counter punches and managed to squeak by on the cards in the first round here, going to Price. In the second round, the Russian, clearly not happy with the scorecard in the first round, started throwing her weight on early in this round, leaning heavily on Price. Price landing a quick 1-2 partway through this one here to stagger Magomedlieva a little bit here. But Magomedlieva really wanted in this was to trade shots. She wanted to stay planted, and she wanted to trade shots throughout the course of this, whereas Price is just staying mobile and frustrating the Russian. dodging a left to land, then landing and coming back with a 1-2 with a 3-shot combo of her own to send us out of this round. Price took this one 4-1 on the cards. Now, once we got into the third round, we started off with a little bit of early trading that ended in a clinch where the Russian pushed Price to the mat. And that wasn't for the first time that this happened in this match. Magomedlieva was really more interested in throwing her weight around than she was in throwing honest punches throughout the course of this entire contest here. With her style throughout at least the third, very much to be to kind of get Price into an open headlock kind of situation and then just start working body shots. But again, it was she was throwing her weight around. That's all she was doing throughout the course of this. The Russian guy, was clearly outboxed by Price, and Price did take this one home, bringing a gold medal for Britain, the first one on the day, and sending silver home to Russia. Now, moving over to the lads, though, in the men's flyweight, saw France's Belal Benama up against Great Britain's Galal Yafai. Now, if you only have time to go back and watch one fight from this morning's matches, this is the one you're going back to watch. Okay, I'll say that right now. So Yafai did walk into this one via a walkover, so he was a bit rested up coming into this one and controlled the pace early, chasing the Frenchman from corner to corner. Benama was landing some great body shots though from the back foot. And with the last minute, in the first round, this went a lot less mobile with a lot more trading of shots going on. Now this suited Yafai just fine. Gave him a chance to show some great bobbing and weaving, some great head movement, defensive head movement that he's really good at. But this round on those early body shots does end up going to Benama on a 3-2 split. Into the second round, Yafai drops Benama within the first 10 seconds of the round. The pace of this fight is just absolutely fantastic, which is one of the reasons you have to go back and watch this. Both fighters working from short to mid-range. Benama catching Yafai with a left hook to the eye, staggering Yafai just ever so slightly, with Yafai responding just a moment later, opening Benama's right eye and stopping the fight temporarily. Now, so the doctors in this corner could have a quick look at him. Yafai, once they resumed, was trying to capitalize on this industry and upping the pace somehow because, again, go back and watch this fight. It was brilliant. But he was getting a bit sloppy in his quest to try to go back after that eye, and Benama was always able to land some great counter punches to take us out. And once again, Benama takes this round 4-1. Now, just shortly after we get into the third round, a clash of heads, again, right at the beginning of the round, opens up a second cut on Benama's left eye, causing the ref to call the fight at this point in time. So this should have been decided on the first 2 rounds. And then taking into consideration the first several seconds of the third round. And then even on this, it probably would have still gone to Benama on this one. But unfortunately, the way this fight ended was in disqualification over the clash of heads. Now, anyone with eyes to see who watches a replay of this one will see that this was an accidental coming together of skulls. This was not intentional. But unfortunately, Galal Yafai was disqualified. And why this is significant, even though he has already booked his ticket to Tokyo, and this doesn't change anything on that front. If you are disqualified, you will not be awarded a medal in the event you were disqualified for. So although he's in the final match, the final bout of this tournament, he's going home empty-handed at the end of the day. And France is going to take home a gold medal, but Britain is not going to be taking home a silver from this division. So unfortunately, it also means he's not going to be collecting those ranking points for this particular bout, which means that this bout isn't going to go ahead to help him his seeding points for Tokyo. So that was a bit disappointing to see because I think it was pretty clear that this was not an intentional headbutt that took out the Frenchman in this particular one. And also, this isn't great news for Benama either, because now we're looking at a fairly short period of time before the games, and he has not one but 2 cuts over his left eye. So the issue becomes, how do you heal properly in that time? You pull one to stitch and it opens the other one. You pull that one pull that to stitch, it opens the first one again. So him and his doctors are going to have a bit of a tricky time patching him up and getting him back into fighting shape in time for Tokyo. But, best of luck to both of them on that one, because I don't think they did Galal right in that one. But again, both of them are going to have a bit of an uphill battle moving forward. But let's move on to the men's welterweights. This saw Great Britain's Pat McCormick up against Russia's Andrei Zemkovoy. Now, this is a repeat of one of the most recent world championships in world championship title matches in Ekaterinburg, Russia. Now, that fight going to Zemkovoy. However, it should be noted that in that particular fight, that fight was stopped due to an accidental coming together of the skulls. And in that particular instance, what happened is what should have happened in Galal Yefai's fight, which is they went back to the cards for the first for what had already been fought up to that point and used scoring to that point to decide the fight. So could McCormick have beaten him if it had gone the distance? Maybe. Let's find out, because this is the rematch here. So now this was a bit of a slow start. Both of these guys testing out each other's range. Early on, McCormick seeming to prefer to play counterpuncher in this one. Round one did go to McCormick on a 3-2 split, a fairly uneventful round one. And this was a bit different as well, because in their previous encounter, McCormick right off the bell was very quick to take the fight to Zemkovoy, whereas this time he wanted to see what he was going to do. He wanted Zemkovoy to make some mistakes first. So moving into the second round, Zemkovoy was slipping to the canvas almost instantly. He walked out, tripped over his own feet, and hit the ground basically. And the only reason that's other than for comedic value, it did look a little bit like he had rolled his ankle as he had gone down there. So the practical upshot of this was this became a much less mobile fight into the second round. Now, Zemkovoy, as a result, did find himself on the back foot for much of this round. It was a highly technical round with both boxers landing really good jabs and a couple of good crosses. Zemkovoy getting up the intensity in the closing seconds of this round. Round two, though, still going to McCormick there on this one. So round three. Just got a bit of a. There we go. Here, find my notes. Okay, so round three. As we moved into round three, once again my feed dropped because apparently it has to do this at least once a day during the tournament. They have to have their technical difficulties, so we missed the beginning of round three and we rejoined with a minute to go in the third round. So we missed the first 2 minutes of this one, unfortunately. So we rejoined the action with some trading going on in the middle of the ring. The Russian getting a bit cocky after a pair of successful jabs and walking right into a great uppercut from McCormick here, who in the final seconds landed some big left hands to take us out of the third. So McCormick is taking home gold for Great Britain on this one, and silver to Russia. Now, we were supposed to be seeing at the end of the day here Ben Whitaker fighting his opponent from Azerbaijan. But unfortunately, Whitaker was unable to take to the ring today. And actually, I've just pulled off my notes here and noticed that Big T here had left some notes here. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so Ben's decided that he was going to pull out due to some he's nursing some earlier injuries, nothing too heavy by the looks of it, but wanting to stay in good shape for the games themselves, so not wanting to overextend himself prior to that tournament. Remembering he already is booked at this point his ticket to Tokyo. This may have helped him in some seating, but to quote Money Mayweather, your health is your wealth. And there's no amount of money worth it at that point in time to put your health on the line there. So Ben Whitaker opting out of this particular bout here so silver's going to go to Great Britain on that one, and the Azerbaijanis are going to take home gold. So that wraps up the morning session. And as I said, the afternoon session is going on right now. We'll give you the wrap up from that one tomorrow, and then we're going to start back into our regular scheduled programming where we start hunting down the headlines from amateur boxing around the globe.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Christian. I appreciate the update and all those fights. Great reporting and great pronunciation of the names. It just reminded me of a sidebar here. Just reminded me of a funny story. when I was in Mexico, now my last name is Boyce, Boyce. Pretty simple, we think. But in Mexico, the hotel clerk was yelling at me and he was calling me over and he was going, Senor Butche, Senor Butche. So although we may have difficulty pronouncing what we consider to be difficult names, what we think are simple names are equally as difficult in other languages as well. So you've done a really good job in pronouncing what we in the Western world would consider pretty difficult names to pronounce. And
well, you have to keep in mind, anyone could go into the comments and have a go at me who actually does speak these languages. The trick is to say it with confidence. I still could be saying it entirely wrong. The trick is to say it with confidence.
And you've done it well. You've done it well. Good stuff. All right. So I look forward to your wrap up tomorrow, as do our viewers. And now our listeners, seeing we're now being podcast via Podbean. And I guess we'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, I'll be here.